She slammed her wine glass down so hard the stem cracked. "I'm done with this marriage," Jennifer said, her voice ice cold, eyes glassy, lips twisted into that smug little smirk she wore when she thought she was winning something. It wasn't a fight. That's what made it so much worse. There was no shouting, no dramatic buildup, no emotional breakdown. She didn't cry. She didn't even look at me like I was a person. She looked through me like I was a rental she was returning early, like she couldn't wait to be rid of me. And me? I just smiled. A slow, quiet, perfect smile. Because she didn't know what I knew. She didn't know that 2 weeks earlier, I'd already moved most of my investments into a trust. She didn't know I had already canceled the second credit card she'd used to pick up a few things that somehow always ended up being designer shoes, massage memberships, and whatever sketchy hotel she kept booking in downtown Seattle. She didn't know that I had already spoken to a lawyer. Not just a lawyer. Her lawyer, the same one her best friend used in her divorce 2 years ago. The one who owed me a favor. The one who smiled when I told him my wife was cheating and asked how hard I wanted to hit her. She didn't know that I had been watching. And what's worse, she didn't care. That's the part that'll never stop burning. It wasn't just betrayal, it was apathy. She wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. The late-night showers. The girl weekends that didn't include any actual girls I could verify. The faint, sweet cologne that wasn't mine. The lock screen she started keeping face down. The way she laughed, harder, longer, when I wasn't in the room. I caught her once. Just a glimpse. She was texting someone named Hunter, no last name, just Hunter Fire with a flame emoji. I don't even know what I saw, just that it was enough to make my skin crawl. Something about last night, and still sore in the best way. I didn't say anything. I didn't confront her. I just made a copy. I filed it. I timestamped it. I sent it to myself. That's when the switch flipped inside me. I stopped being her husband that day, and I started becoming her reckoning. So when she stood there, arms crossed, posture too proud for someone who just detonated 10 years of marriage over a midlife affair, I didn't flinch. "Perfect," I said, like I'd been waiting for this exact moment. Because I had. She blinked, thrown off by how calm I was. She expected begging, tears, anger. She expected me to need her. Instead, I reached for the same wine bottle she had slammed down and poured myself a glass, cool and steady. She narrowed her eyes. "That's it. You're just going to let me walk away." I took a sip. "You already did. Months ago. This is just the paperwork." That hit her. I saw the flinch. Just a flicker, but it was there. And then, just like that, she scoffed and turned to leave. No apologies. No regret. Not even a backward glance. Her heels clicked across the hardwood as she disappeared down the hall, back to our *her bedroom. I stood there alone in the kitchen, still holding the wine glass, the air thick with the scent of her perfume and the stench of everything she destroyed. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was heartbroken, because I wasn't. I was wired. Focused. I opened my laptop. Opened a folder I had titled Exit Plan. Inside, screenshots. Bank transfers. GPS logs. Voicemail recordings. Video footage from a tiny camera I had installed in her car when I stopped trusting her 6 months ago. And beneath it all, an apartment listing. Downtown Penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Overlooks the bay. 2 bedrooms. Furnished. Move-in ready. And available next week. By the time Jennifer would be back from her next girls' trip, I would be gone. Quietly. Completely. Strategically. But not just that. She thought she was playing chess. She hadn't seen my queen yet. The next morning, she left without a word. Suitcase in hand, lips painted blood red, wearing that fake leather jacket she always thought made her look untouchable. She didn't even bother to ask where I'd be. Didn't ask why I didn't fight. Didn't notice that my side of the closet was already empty. She thought she blindsided me last night. Thought she still had control. That was Jennifer's fatal flaw. She was always 10 steps behind, but convinced she was playing from above. By the time her Uber pulled out of the driveway, I was already in motion. My real bags were in the trunk. The house? Already up for a quiet off-market evaluation. I'd even greased the realtor's palm to delay showing it to anyone until I had everything I wanted out of it. Because trust me, I wasn't just leaving this place. I was gutting it of every single piece of leverage she could use against me. And Jennifer? She wasn't going to see any of it coming. I parked outside the Penthouse 2 hours later. 15th floor. Private elevator. Security that nodded when I walked in. It was already mine, had been for 3 days. I signed the lease in cash using the Trust Shell LLC. The name on the mailbox wasn't even mine. Just a number. A shadow. The furniture was already delivered. Black leather. Smoked glass. Chrome finishes. A view that could make a priest swear. The kind of place that says, "You can't touch me anymore." I stood by the glass wall, staring at the skyline as the sunlight scattered across the water. That's when my phone buzzed. Incoming call. Amanda, Jennifer's BFF nail polish. I didn't answer. 2 minutes later, a text. I heard. Call me. Please. Of course she did. Amanda was Jennifer's best friend, but lately, she'd been texting me more than she texted her. It started innocently, a complaint about Jen being distant, then about her lies, then screenshots of messages she wasn't supposed to see. Last week, she sent me a video. It was grainy, dark, and shaky, taken in the back corner of some overpriced downtown lounge. But the sound was crystal clear. Jennifer's voice, slightly slurred from cocktails, laughing to someone beside her. I told him I'm done, and guess what he did? Nothing. Just sat there like some limp sack. God, Hunter's so much more of a man. At least he doesn't fold like a chair. Hunter again. The man she swore didn't exist. And the best part? Amanda knew him. Better than I ever expected. She ended the video with a whisper. She doesn't deserve mercy, Mark. That was the moment it all clicked. The betrayal wasn't mine anymore, it was hers. She wasn't just walking away from our marriage. She was walking into a setup that she didn't even realize she'd helped design. I cracked my neck, stood up from the windowsill, and called Amanda back. She picked up on the first ring. Her voice was quiet, almost breathless. Tell me what you need me to do. I paused for a second, then smiled. You still in touch with her ex-husband? Brad, she said. Unfortunately. Why? Because I've got a proposition. And I think it's time Jennifer paid alimony for once in her life. Amanda laughed. Not the polite kind. The real kind. The sharp, dangerous kind women laugh when they finally realize the devil's on their side. The next days were a blur of precision. My lawyer moved fast. The papers were filed with details I never thought I'd use. Infidelity? Check. Financial abuse? Check. Emotional neglect? Documented. And because she insisted she was done first, and I was the one who walked away calm, I filed under desertion. Add the hidden credit card charges, the lies, the text logs I'd been screenshotting for months. In the video Amanda gave me, Jennifer walked into court already bleeding. She didn't know yet. She thought I was somewhere licking my wounds. She had no idea I was already preparing champagne glasses. 2 of them. One for me, and one for Amanda. 3 days later, Jennifer came back. Not like a storm, no yelling, no tears. She walked into the house the way you walk into a store where everything's already been sold. She froze the second she saw the living room. The furniture? Gone. My bookshelves? Empty. My framed photos, especially the one of us in Napa, the one she always told guests was our happiest trip, vanished. She called out, Mark, but her voice cracked halfway through. I didn't answer. I wasn't there. I was sitting on the rooftop of my penthouse, sipping iced espresso, listening to a playlist Amanda had made called Post-Apocalyptic Revenge Vibes. Dramatic? Maybe. But it fit the mood perfectly. My phone buzzed again. Jennifer calling. Decline. A minute later, a text. Then another. Then 6. Where's everything? Is this a joke? You had no right to take the stereo. Call me. We need to talk. Seriously. WTF, Mark. She was spiraling. And I hadn't even filed the paperwork yet. The thing about Jennifer is she never believed I'd actually leave. She thought I'd huff and puff, maybe sleep at a friend's for a night or 2, then come crawling back to fix things. That was our pattern, right? She'd emotionally disappear. I'd chase her like a golden retriever begging for scraps of affection. Not this time. Not after what I saw last month. It was late. Around midnight. She was out on one of her dinners. I had just installed a tracker on her car, legally, by the way, since it was registered to me. She parked behind a building on 6th and Main. Not a restaurant. Not a bar. Just a plain gray door with no sign. She stayed inside for 2 hours. I waited across the street in a rental car, watching. And when she came out, she wasn't alone. Hunter. Again. He looked like every cliché rolled into one. Fitted blazer, white teeth that probably cost more than my car, and that smug alpha grin women like Jennifer mistake for masculinity. He put his hand on her lower back like he owned her. She giggled, leaned in, whispered something, then kissed him. Right there, on the sidewalk. That was the exact moment my love for her died. Clean. No second guessing. No heartbreak. Just silence inside my chest, like someone flipped a switch and shut off the power. And still, I didn't confront her. Not that night. Not the next day. Why? Because rage fades. But strategy stays. I waited until she was at a spa retreat with her friends, or so she said, and removed every single trace of me from that house. Changed my mailing address. Closed all joint accounts. Had my attorney file the first draft of the divorce papers under irreconcilable differences, but attached evidence packets with timestamps, screenshots, and a list of her online purchases from the last 6 months that made it very clear whose money funded those self-care trips. Fast forward to now, Jennifer standing alone in that gutted house, texting me like a teenager left on read. I finally replied with 3 words. Check your email. She did. And that's when the screaming started. Amanda recorded it. I don't know how she knew to call at that exact moment. Maybe she just had good instincts, but she held the phone up while Jennifer lost it, shouting my name like a curse word, pacing, crying, laughing hysterically, then cursing again. I listened, leaning back in my chair, staring out over the skyline. Amanda's voice came through the speaker, low and amused. You okay? I took a breath. I've never been better. She chuckled. So, ready for next week? That was the moment I grinned. Because next week wasn't just court. It was brunch. At my place. And Jennifer's ex-best friend, now my very strategic confidant, had already picked out her dress. Jennifer showed up at my penthouse a week later. No warning. No call. Just a sharp knock on the door, 3 times, angry, precise. I had just poured a second glass of champagne. Amanda was in the kitchen, barefoot, humming along to something jazzy playing on the Bluetooth speaker. She looked up, confused. I checked the time. Exactly 12:03 p.m. She was early. I opened the door, and there she was, Jennifer, standing in heels far too expensive for her court-declared limited income, wearing the same tight beige blazer she wore to every fake job interview she never followed through on. Her lips were mad, her eyeliner fierce. But her face, God, her face was gray, like she'd seen something she couldn't process, like she was still mid-sentence in her head, arguing with a version of me that no longer existed. I didn't move. She blinked, stepped forward, and her eyes caught the inside of the apartment. First, the view. Then, Amanda. Amanda leaned against the counter, holding her glass, quiet, cool. No smile, no mockery, just composed. Regal almost. That was always her power. She never needed to gloat. Just being there, calm and present, was enough to unravel anyone who wronged her. Jennifer's jaw clenched. You've got to be kidding me. I tilted my head. Afternoon, Jennifer. She stepped in like the place owed her oxygen. Her heels clicked on the tile like gunshots. You moved in here? I nodded. 3 weeks ago. Thought you knew. You left our house and moved into some luxury sky cage with her. Amanda sipped her drink. Didn't answer. Didn't blink. I filed for divorce, Jennifer hissed. And I wanted it to be civilized. That's when I laughed. I mean really laughed. Because civilized went out the window the moment she let Hunter take her dress off in the back seat of my Tesla. Yes, my car. During one of her self-reflection drives. Don't worry. She didn't know I had the dash cam set to auto-record. I only found it later, during what I now call the discovery phase. Court loves clear footage. You want it civil? I asked, stepping toward her, voice low. Then maybe you should have come to me like a human being. Not like a smug, entitled stranger telling me she's done while looking for a payout. Her nostrils flared. You think this is funny? I shrugged. No, I think it's inevitable. She turned to Amanda, finally breaking. You were supposed to be my friend. Amanda raised an eyebrow. I was. Until you lied to me for 2 years, trashed me behind my back, and bragged about sleeping with my ex-boyfriend. You remember Rick? Because I do. Silence. Jennifer's mask cracked for just a second. Then she recovered and pivoted back to me. What do you want, Mark? Huh? You want me to apologize? You want me to beg? I stepped even closer, holding her gaze. No, Jennifer. I want you to sit down with your lawyer and sign the revised alimony agreement. Because guess what? You've been the breadwinner on paper for the last 7 months. Remember when you demanded I take a break from work to figure myself out? Yeah, that's called documented spousal unemployment, which means you're paying. She opened her mouth, then shut it again. I tapped my phone. I can pull up the financials if you need a refresher, or I can just let Judge Mendez walk you through it. Either way, I'm good. And that's when it happened. Jennifer, the woman who had once looked down on me from every moral high ground she built for herself, stumbled. She sat down on my couch. She actually sat, like someone had unplugged her spine. Amanda turned away politely, giving her privacy she didn't deserve. I walked over to the bar, refilled my glass, and leaned against the counter like I wasn't watching the slow implosion of a woman who thought she had the world on a leash. Jennifer looked up at me, eyes full of something, not quite tears, not quite rage, just loss. And she said, "Why are you doing this?" I looked her straight in the eyes. Because you thought I'd stay weak. Because you played me for a fool. Because you were sloppy and smug and selfish, and I was quiet. But quiet doesn't mean stupid, Jennifer. She stood, wobbled slightly, collected herself. This isn't over. I stepped aside to let her pass. No, I said, this is finally over. She left, and behind her, Amanda raised her glass. To peace. I raised mine. To very expensive peace. And we drank, while Jennifer, for the first time in her life, walked out with nothing. 3 days later, I got a call from her lawyer. Not mine, hers. Some junior associate with a name that sounded like a sandwich topping. He tried to sound stern, tried to pull off that I went to Yale superiority. But the tremble in his voice gave him away. The man was nervous. Mr. Danner, he said, clearing his throat. We've reviewed the revised filing and, we believe your demands may be legal, supported by documentation, and reinforced by precedent. I cut him off mid-sentence. Which part are you struggling with? He stammered something about wanting to avoid litigation. Of course they did, because they knew. They had seen the videos, the GPS data, the call logs, the screenshots, perfectly time-stamped and organized into folders so neat even a judge could scroll through them without blinking. I wasn't petty. I was prepared. And the way Jennifer's lawyer fumbled through legalese just confirmed what I already knew. They weren't coming to negotiate. They were coming to beg. We're willing to sign if you reduce the alimony by 25% and agree not to submit the dashcam footage to the court. I leaned back in my chair, feet up on the glass table of my Penthouse's home office. Amanda sat nearby, legs folded under her, reading a book and sipping from a mug that said, "Best ex-friend ever." I muted the call. They're crawling, I said. Amanda didn't even look up. Told you. I unmuted the line. You know, I said calmly, my lawyer used to tell me never to show my full hand. But in this case, I think you've already realized I'm holding the entire damn deck. A pause. Then a quiet, understood, sir. I'll relay that to my client. Click. It was almost too easy. But the real win came later that night. I got an email. No subject. Just an attachment. From a burner address I traced back to a server in Nevada, Hunter's old stomping grounds. I opened the file. It was a video. Jennifer, lying on a hotel bed. Not naked, thank God, but not decent either. Drunk. Makeup smeared. Talking to someone just out of frame. Mark thinks he's clever, she slurred. Let him play lawyer. Let him take the house. I don't care. I've got people. I've got Hunter. She giggled. I just have to drag it out a few months. File a harassment claim if I have to. Then I get half. Just watch. She raised her glass in a mock toast. To stupid men and smarter women. It ended there. I sat frozen. Not with pain, God no, but with something colder. Something sharper. Hunter, you dumb bastard. You filmed her without her knowing. And then you sent it to me? What was the play here? Intimidation? Or did you think I'd break? I didn't break. I forwarded it to my lawyer with one note. Add this to discovery. And fast. 2 hours later, Jennifer called me herself. Blocked number. I answered on speaker. Her voice came through choked, shaken. I didn't know he recorded that. I did. I was drunk. I didn't mean it. I said nothing. I was trying to. I was trying to win something. I didn't want to lose. That's the thing, Jennifer, I said, slowly. You never had anything to lose. You just thought I didn't know the game. Silence. Then she whispered it. Is Amanda really staying with you? Now that caught me off guard. Not because of the question, but the way she asked it, like she was hoping the answer would crush her. I didn't lie. She is. A breath. Shaky. Almost. Fragile. And is it serious? I leaned back, looking at Amanda from across the room. She was reading a new book now. Same mug in hand. Same soft grin. I looked back out the window. You made your decision, Jennifer. Don't look for grace in the wreckage. And I hung up. That night, Amanda curled beside me on the rooftop balcony. We didn't talk about Jennifer. We didn't need to. There was peace in silence. A kind of peace you only earn when you've walked through fire and come out cleaner. Below us, the city pulsed with noise, ambition, distraction. But up here, we toasted again. To closure. To freedom. To the strange, quiet joy of watching a woman who thought she'd broken you realize too late she'd only freed you to win. 2 days later, I got a letter. Not an email. Not a text. An actual, handwritten letter. Folded in 3, stuffed into a plain white envelope with my name scrawled across it in Jennifer's handwriting. The same handwriting I once watched dot tiny hearts above her lowercase i's on love notes she used to slip into my briefcase. But this wasn't one of those. The envelope smelled like her. That expensive perfume she used to dab on her collarbone before going out with the girls. I almost didn't open it. Not because I was afraid of what was inside, but because I already knew what it would be, manipulation disguised as vulnerability. Still, I opened it. For pages. For full pages of carefully choreographed desperation. She started with the classics. Mark, I don't even know how to begin this. I've made mistakes. I see that now. I was selfish. I let the wrong people into my life and shut the right one out. There it was. The apology she thought would hit like an earthquake. But I didn't flinch. I read on, each line a masterpiece of emotional bait. I never stopped loving you. I just got lost. You were always so stable. And I was spinning, and I didn't know how to reach for you without pulling you down with me. So I pushed you away. Translation? You were too good, so I cheated on you. Right. But then, halfway through the second page, she pivoted. The real reason for the letter began to bloom in the margins like rot. You and Amanda. I can't believe you'd go there. You know what she's like. She always wanted what I had. You told me once she was a parasite. Have you forgotten that? Ah, there it was. Jealousy. Not love. Not regret. Just seething, bubbling envy. Because the friend she used to mock behind her back was now sitting on my couch, sipping my wine, and wearing that quiet, graceful smile Jennifer could never quite master. I read the last page slowly. Look, I'm willing to walk away from the alimony request. We can say it was mutual. No court. No spectacle. But please, don't humiliate me. Not with her. Please. Humiliate her? She slept with Hunter. In my car. In my marriage. And now I was the one who needed to be delicate? I didn't respond. Not with a call. Not with a letter. Instead, I took Amanda out that evening. Rooftop bar. Sunset view. Jazz trio. She wore black, elegant, understated. She turned more heads in 5 minutes than Jennifer had in the last 5 years, and she didn't even try. We ordered champagne. Again. And as we clinked glasses, Amanda tilted her head, studying me. You read the letter, didn't you? I nodded. She's not done, Amanda said. I smirked. No, but she's already lost. And just then, my phone buzzed. Another message. This time from an unknown number. I tapped it open. Photo attachment. It was blurry, taken in a rush. But the scene was clear enough. Jennifer, standing outside a courthouse, talking to a man in a trench coat. Her expression twisted in mid-rage. Her hand jabbing the air. His posture defensive. I zoomed in. Hunter. Looking like he'd just swallowed a lawsuit. A text followed, from Amanda's contact and court records. Hunter just filed a harassment complaint against her. She showed up drunk, screaming about betrayal. Judge almost had her escorted out. Thought you'd want to know. Amanda saw the look on my face before I even said a word. What happened now? I turned the phone around and handed it to her. She laughed. Genuinely. That deep, belly-warm laugh that shakes your whole body. I give them 2 weeks before she calls you again, she said. I give her 1. I replied. And right then, right in that moment, I felt it. Victory. Not petty. Not cruel. Just clean. I wasn't the man she walked out on anymore. I wasn't the man she lied to, manipulated, gaslit, humiliated. That man was gone. And in his place stood someone she couldn't control, couldn't predict, and could never touch again. It happened at 2:14 in the morning. My phone buzzed against the nightstand, one long vibration, then silence. No ringtone. Just that quiet little tremor that sneaks into your dreams like a whisper. Amanda stirred beside me. I reached over, expecting some late stock alert or spam email. But no, it was a voicemail. Blocked number. No text. No call record. Just a single voice message. I played it on speaker, volume low. Her voice was slurred, quiet, and terrifyingly calm. Hey, it's me. I know it's late. I walked out of Hunter's place. He locked the door behind me. Can you believe that? He said I was embarrassing him. Said I needed help. I don't even know what that means. A pause. A sniffle. Do you remember when we went to that jazz bar on 4th? The one where you spilled wine on my dress, and we laughed so hard the waiter thought we were drunk. Her voice cracked there. I've been thinking about that night. A lot. I've been thinking about all the things I let rot. All the ways I tried to feel important by stepping on the one person who never deserved it. I froze. Amanda was awake now, staring at the ceiling, listening in silence. Jennifer kept talking. Hunter's gone. Or maybe I'm just gone to him. Either way, I feel empty. I don't want your money, Mark. I don't want the condo. Or the car. I just want to stop waking up like this. There was a silence so long I thought the message ended. Then, one final whisper. I saw the video. The one from your balcony. You and Amanda. She looked so peaceful. You looked free. I don't even recognize that version of you. You were never like that with me. Click. That was it. No begging. No threats. No manipulations. Just that one small glimpse of who Jennifer really was, behind all the layers of control, seduction, and venom. Amanda turned her head toward me. She's spiraling. I nodded. Hunter probably shoved her off the pedestal she built. He always was a fast burn, Amanda said. Explosive. Then gone. I lay back against the pillows, staring at the ceiling, wondering what part of this whole mess had really broken Jennifer. Was it losing the house? Losing the narrative? Or seeing someone she used to mock so effortlessly become the version of himself she could never create? The next morning, I got another message. Not from her. From Hunter. Yeah, let that sink in. It was a text. Simple. Brutal. You win, man. She's all yours again. Good luck. I laughed. The kind of laugh that doesn't come from amusement, but from absolute awe at the sheer delusion packed into that one sentence. I didn't reply. What was there to say? I didn't want her back. I didn't want a rematch. I wasn't part of that equation anymore. And yet, here was this smug little punk, trying to hand her off, like she was a burden he could no longer carry. Amanda saw the message over my shoulder. Wow, she muttered. How generous of him. I shook my head. I think he finally figured out she wasn't dating him. She was using him to hurt me. And once that stopped working, he pulled the eject cord. Exactly. Later that day, I got a call from my attorney. Jennifer's lawyer just submitted a full withdrawal. No appeal. No countersuit. She's walking with nothing. Voluntarily. I blinked. Wait. What? She folded. She folded, he repeated, slowly. Completely. And Mark, that never happens. Not from someone like her. Not this far in. I didn't feel joy. Not right away. What I felt was finality. Like the last page of a very long, very twisted chapter had finally turned. I ended the call and walked out onto the balcony, the one that overlooked the bay. The water shimmered. The city breathed beneath me. Amanda came out a minute later, coffee in hand. I looked at her. She's done. Officially. Amanda leaned against the railing. Took her long enough. I laughed softly. But inside, I realized something bigger had happened. For the first time in years, there wasn't a single part of me checking the rearview mirror. No second-guessing. No anger. No ghost of what we used to be. Just this moment. This sky. This woman beside me. And peace. Peace so sharp and vivid, it didn't feel like a reward. It felt like arrival. The silence was the strangest part. Not the silence between calls, or the silence in my inbox. The silence in my head. That constant hum of anxiety that had lived under my skin for years. Wondering where she was, what lie she was telling, what mask she'd wear next, was just gone. For the first time in a decade, I could hear my own thoughts. Amanda noticed it too. She didn't say it outright, but I caught her watching me more than usual that week. Studying me, like she was waiting for the crash after the storm. But there wasn't one. I didn't fall apart. I wasn't broken. I had simply moved on. We spent that weekend upstate. No Wi-Fi, no cameras, just woods, a rented cabin, and one king-sized bed with creaky springs and ugly plaid sheets. We cooked pasta. We read in silence. We took long walks, holding hands like teenagers too old for drama. Amanda didn't ask me about Jennifer, and I didn't bring her up. Until Sunday, we were watching the fire die down. The air smelled like pine and rain. She was curled up beside me, head on my shoulder, and without warning I said, "Do you ever feel guilty?" She looked up. About what? Being here. Like this. After everything. Amanda didn't blink. No. I used to. For about 5 minutes. Then I remembered what she did to you. And to me. She lied to both of us. She built a version of herself we were supposed to orbit like idiots. I stared into the flames. Sometimes I wonder if I let her do that. Amanda exhaled. You did. So did I? But then you stopped. And that's the part she never expected. I let her words sink in. That was it really. Jennifer never planned for after the collapse. She thought I'd stay tangled in her wreckage. A sad little man, sulking in an empty house, tortured by thoughts of her with someone else. But instead I'd rebuild. Not just my life. Myself. The Monday after we returned from the cabin, I got one last reminder of who she really was. A certified letter. Delivered by hand. No note. Just a thick stack of glossy photos. Jennifer and Hunter. Together. From months ago. Laughing on a yacht. Clinking champagne flutes. Holding hands at some rooftop event with her signature red dress and fake, oh my god candid smile. Photos she wanted me to see. Staged. Professional. Backdated. She was trying to rewrite history. Trying to plant the idea that she had moved on first. That I was the one still hung up. That she was thriving. It was laughable. Desperate. I placed the photos on the counter and poured myself a glass of scotch. Amanda came in from her yoga class, saw the spread, and raised an eyebrow. She really sent those? I nodded. She stared for a moment, then burst out laughing. Not a polite chuckle. A real, uncontrollable belly laugh. I've seen hostage notes with more self-respect, she said between gasps. I grinned. She must have had these taken months ago, probably right after I moved out. She really doesn't know how to lose quietly. No, I said, sipping my drink, but she's going to learn. I picked up the photos, walked over to the shredder, and fed them in slowly. One by one. The yacht. The kiss. The toast. Her smug, artificial face. Gone. Amanda stood beside me, arms folded. Did you ever love her? She asked quietly. I looked at her. No. I loved the idea of her. The version she sold me. The version I wanted to believe was real. She nodded. That's what I thought. We stood there in silence as the last photo disappeared into confetti. And that's when I realized. Jennifer had sent those pictures thinking they'd hurt me. But they didn't. They confirmed the one thing I needed to know. She was still playing games in a room I'd already walked out of. And the door was locked behind me. It was the following Thursday when the final nail came, unintentionally delivered by Jennifer herself. I had just wrapped up a late meeting and was heading back up to the Penthouse, elevator humming, briefcase in one hand, a warm container of Thai takeout in the other. Amanda had texted me she'd be home late from a meeting with her literary agent. Something about a memoir idea. She hadn't told me what it was about, and I hadn't asked. Not because I wasn't interested, but because I trusted her to tell me when she was ready. That's the kind of relationship we had now. No games. No guesswork. Just space and respect and fire where it mattered. The elevator doors opened, and Jennifer was standing in front of my door. In heels again. Always the heels. Holding a manila folder to her chest like it was some sort of offering. Eyes wide, face washed out from too much makeup and not enough sleep. Her hair wasn't done. Her lips weren't perfect. She looked real for the first time in years. I sighed. She straightened up, lips parting. Mark, can I talk to you for a second? Why? She flinched at the word like it slapped her. Because I owe you an explanation. Because I've been. No, not why do you want to talk? I mean, why do you think I need to hear anything you have to say? She blinked, stunned silent. I walked past her, unlocked the door, and stepped inside without inviting her. She followed anyway. Of course she did. You don't have to forgive me, she said quickly, breathless, following me halfway through the foyer, but just let me say this. One thing. One truth. I won't ask again. I turned slowly. Speak. She stood in the center of my living room. Amanda's sweater was draped over the arm of the couch. Her mug still sat by the window. The scent of her perfume was in the air, peony and cedar. It hit Jennifer like a truck. She's staying here? She asked, voice thin. I didn't answer. She swallowed. Her eyes were wet now, but I wasn't falling for that again. I'd seen those tears before, scripted, weaponized, always timed for maximum effect. I sabotaged us, she said, and for the first time, the words didn't sound rehearsed. I know that. I let resentment fester. I wanted more, but I didn't know what more even was. And when you stopped chasing me, it scared me. You've always been my gravity, Mark. I just didn't realize how much until you were gone. I stared at her, then asked, why now? She hesitated. And then, quietly, because I saw the photo. What photo? The one your assistant posted. On your birthday. I didn't even remember what she was talking about. Probably Amanda, holding a slice of cake up to my mouth. Both of us laughing like idiots. Sunlight everywhere. The kind of photo you don't pose for. It just happens when you're actually living. Jennifer closed her eyes. I never saw you look like that with me. Not once. And I realized it wasn't because you didn't love me. It was because I never let you. She handed me the folder, her hand shaking. I opened it. Inside was a signed statement. She was waiving alimony. Full release of property claims. Dropping all pending motions. Clean. Final. I looked up, stunned. I don't want to be the villain in your story anymore, she said. You are, I replied, steady. But at least now, you're exiting the stage. She nodded. Her lips quivered, but she didn't cry. She walked out. Didn't slam the door. Didn't turn for a last look. Just left. For real this time. And the moment she was gone, it hit me, not a wave of relief, not anger, not even closure. It was nothing. The kind of nothing that feels like freedom. I set the folder down. Amanda came home 30 minutes later. Hair in a messy bun, Thai food still warm, laughing about something her agent had said. She saw the open folder, read the top page, and looked at me. She came. I nodded. Apologized. Sort of. Amanda stepped closer, kissed my cheek, and said, too little, way too late. Then she curled up on the couch beside me and took her pad of notes out like nothing happened. And I realized, in that tiny moment of normalcy, this was everything I had been searching for. Not revenge. Not drama. Not even justice. Just a quiet room, a clear mind, and someone beside me who didn't make me feel like I was walking on eggshells in my own skin. This was what freedom felt like. And I was finally home. The next morning, the world felt different. Not louder. Not brighter. Just simpler. I brewed coffee at dawn with the balcony doors wide open, the city below barely waking up. Amanda was still asleep, her book folded open on the nightstand, her arm draped over my side of the bed like it belonged there. Like she belonged there. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel the pressure to fix anything. Not myself. Not someone else. Not the past. Then my phone buzzed. A notification from LinkedIn, of all places. Jennifer Langdon has updated her employment. Director of Wellness Strategy, Solara Resorts. I blinked. Wellness strategy? The woman who once screamed at a yoga instructor for mispronouncing chakra was now a wellness director? There was a second notification. Public post. Sometimes the worst endings are your greatest rebirths. Don't let the past define you. You are not your mistakes. You are your recovery. Dizzy hashtag healing hashtag growth hashtag power moves. The caption was followed by a photo of her on a beach, barefoot, staring out at the ocean like some post-divorce guru. Amanda leaned over my shoulder, still half asleep. Is that your ex pretending she's Oprah again? I nodded. Director of Wellness Strategy now. Amanda smirked. For who? An MLM? I laughed, but there was no bitterness in it. Not anymore. I handed her a mug of coffee and sat beside her, scrolling through Jennifer's post again. It was clear what this was. A rebrand. A desperate last grasp to control the story. But the difference was, this time, I didn't need to correct her. I didn't need to comment. I didn't need anything from her narrative, because I had already written my own. That day, Amanda and I drove north with the top down. No destination. Just wind, sun, and silence. Somewhere along the cliffs, we stopped for lunch. While we ate, she slid a small envelope across the table. Open it, she said. Inside, a key. To her place. A gesture that said more than any speech. A choice. I'm not asking for labels, she said, quiet. But I want us to stop living like we're guests in each other's lives. I stared at her, then leaned forward and kissed her hand. No hesitation. No second thoughts. Just yes. As the sun dipped below the coast, I realized the story Jennifer tried to write for me, the one where I ended up bitter, broken, crawling, was over. And I had authored something else entirely. Something better. Something real. It happened so fast, I almost didn't register it. 2 weeks later, Amanda and I were at a dinner party, a small one. Just 6 people. People who'd never known Jennifer, never lived in our old world. The kind of people who asked how we met, not who we used to be. We laughed, shared a bottle of Spanish Red, debated whether the host's dog was part wolf. It was light, easy, until my phone buzzed again. Blocked number. Voicemail. No message. Then, a text from a number I didn't have saved. I need to see you. One last time. I didn't show Amanda right away. Not because I was hiding anything, but because I knew what this was. Jennifer hadn't let go. Not really. That night, while Amanda was in the bath, I stepped onto the balcony. The city shimmered below, and I hit play on the voicemail. Her voice was brittle. Strained. Mark. I messed up. I know I said I wouldn't call again, but please, just listen. I'm not doing well. The job is a joke, the money's gone, and Hunter's talking about suing me for defamation. I feel like I'm drowning. You were always the one who kept me afloat. I just didn't realize it until... There was a long, painful pause. Then, please, I don't want anything. I just want to see you. In person. 5 minutes. That's all. Click. The next day, I told Amanda. She didn't flinch. She didn't accuse. She didn't even look surprised. She just said, "You going?" I took a breath. I think I need to. Do you want me to come? No, I said. If it's what I think it is, I need to do it alone. Jennifer chose the same place where we'd had our 3rd anniversary dinner, some rooftop lounge in Belltown with overpriced cocktails and ambient jazz. She was already seated when I arrived. Her face looked thinner. She wore sunglasses even though it was dusk. Her nails were chipped. She didn't order a drink. I sat. She didn't speak right away. Just looked at me like she was still trying to find the man she used to control. The man who gave her everything. He wasn't there anymore. You look good, she said finally. You don't, I answered. Calm. Not cruel. Just real. She didn't even argue. I'm not going to beg, she said, voice low. I know it's over. I know I burned it all. I needed to look you in the eyes and say it. I ruined you. And I see that now. I shook my head. No. You tried. But you didn't. She looked down at her hands. Then took something from her purse, a photo. Us. From years ago. Smiling. Happy. The illusion. I keep this in my drawer, she whispered. Not to remember what we had, but to remember how badly I messed it up. I slid the photo back across the table. Don't keep that, I said. You don't need a reminder of who I was. You need to figure out who you are without hurting people to feel powerful. Her lip quivered. Is she good to you? Amanda. She nodded. She's real. And she makes me feel like I never have to shrink to be loved. Jennifer didn't speak. Just nodded, once. The weight of her own emptiness settling in her bones. I stood up. She reached out, touched my hand. Just for a second. Thank you for coming, she said. I leaned down, looked her in the eyes, and said the last thing I would ever say to her. Take care of yourself. For once. And then I walked away. Didn't turn back. Didn't check if she watched me leave. Didn't need to. Because this time, the closure wasn't a conversation. It was the walk away. The silence that followed? It was the loudest peace I'd ever known. 6 months later, I stood at the edge of the dock, waves lapping gently against the wood, a breeze rolling in from the sound. Amanda was inside the lake house, barefoot, slicing peaches for breakfast, humming that same old Fleetwood Mac song that somehow still made the air feel warmer. The house wasn't big. It wasn't flashy. But it was ours. There were no marble countertops or floor-to-ceiling windows. No city skyline or concierge. Just wood and water and peace. A life I never would have chosen back then, because I was too busy defending a life that was slowly choking me. And now? There was nothing left to defend. I sat on the dock with my coffee, staring at the horizon, thinking back on everything that had led here, not with regret. Not even with satisfaction. With clarity. Jennifer hadn't reached out again. After that rooftop meeting, she disappeared from my orbit completely. I heard through a friend that her so-called job had fizzled out. That she'd tried launching a podcast about empowered healing that barely got off the ground. That Hunter had blocked her on everything. She tried reinvention. But reinvention without reflection is just costume. And eventually, people see the seams. I didn't hate her. Strange, right? After everything? But hate's a fire. And fire needs fuel. And I'd stopped feeding it the moment I stopped needing her to understand what she did to me. Amanda stepped out onto the dock, sunglasses on, holding 2 bowls, peaches and yogurt. She sat beside me, handed one over, and leaned against my shoulder like she'd done it 1,000 mornings before. I smiled. You still think I'm the boring one? She smirked. Absolutely. But you're mine. We ate in silence for a while, birds calling from the trees, a couple paddleboarding in the distance. No drama. No ghosts. Just quiet. Then she turned to me and said, So, think you'll ever write it all down? I raised a brow. You mean the Jennifer saga? She nodded. People would read it. Might even help someone. I chuckled. What would I even title it? Amanda grinned, reached over, tapped her spoon against mine, and said, When my wife declared, I'm done with this marriage, I just smiled and said, Perfect. A month later, she walked into my new penthouse and turned ghost pale when she saw me toasting her ex-best friend with the alimony she'd just agreed to pay. We both laughed until our stomachs hurt. But deep down, I knew she was right. Because that story, my story, wasn't about revenge. It wasn't even about her. It was about the man who finally stopped giving his peace to someone who hadn't earned it, and learned that walking away isn't weakness. It's the beginning of everything.